Hello everybody, welcome to this video on the TCP segment header. So how does the TCP segment look like? Okay, what are the different fields inside the header? What is there actually inside the header? Now normally every layer adds its own header along with the data. Okay, so you have the data which is coming from the application to the transport layer. Now this data, the transport layer takes this data and adds some information along with it in the header. This information gives things like where it must reach, how it must be processed, how should the connection be handled, and many other things. So let us see what exactly are the informations that are sent in the TCP header. So this is how the TCP header looks like. So you have, this is 32-bit. You can see the TCP header is 20 bytes long, fixed size, 20 bytes. Okay, so you see this is 16-bit and this is 16-bit. Okay, so you have 16-bit source port and destination port. Okay, then you have a 32-bit sequence number. Okay, and then you have an acknowledgement number which is also 32 bits. All right, then you have 16 bits of these options here. Now what are these options? Here we have the first thing here is a 4-bit TCP header length. Okay, now why the header length is coming, I'll explain in a while. Then there are some 4 bits which are unused, means they have not been given any function yet. Okay, then following these you see CWR, ECE, all these are different 1-bit flags. These are 1-bit flags. So each of these represents something. So it may be, since it is 1-bit, its value may be either 0 or 1. Okay, if it is 0, it means something. If it is 1, it means something else. Then comes your 16-bit window size. 16 bits for mentioning giving the window size. Okay, remember I had mentioned earlier that TCP uses the sliding window protocol with dynamic window size. So window size field is here. Then there is a field called checksum. So checksum is for for giving some reliability. So this is a 16-bit checksum value. Then there is a pointer called the urgent pointer. Okay, this is also 16-bit. So I'll explain in a while what this urgent pointer does. It is basically a pointer to the data section. It points to some part in the data section. All right. And then you see there is this part which is your options, that is 0 or more 32-bit words. So 0 or more, this is an optional part of the header. This is an optional part of the header. So in this optional part, okay, you may have certain features which are not included in the fixed header, so which are like add-ons to TCP, add-on features of TCP. Okay, so if certain add-on features of TCP are being used, then they will appear here in the options part. And so this part is the header. Let me use a different color. So from here to here is the header. From here to here is the fixed part. So what is blue? This is the fixed part, and the red part is the full header. Okay, because this may be 0 also. If this is not there, then this is 0. This may be 0, and then comes the data part. Now, how big will be the data? Again, this is because this is optional. It may be 0, or depending upon what is the maximum segment size, what we had discussed in our previous lecture. Okay, so this is how the TCP segment looks like. Let's look at each field individually. So this is like I have already mentioned, it's a 20 byte fixed size header is there. This is followed by header options. That is optional, 0 or 32-bit words that you can have. So after the options, you can have how many bytes of data? You may have 65,495 bytes of data. Why this? This is the size of the IP payload. Okay, this 20 bytes is for the TCP header, and this is for your IP header. Okay, so this minus this, you're left with this. So you have this there is this many bytes of data can be there. So 0 to 65,495 bytes of data. So and sometimes you can have data which segments without any data, like I had mentioned, for acknowledgements and for certain control messaging, you may have this. So one thing here, this is not exactly the payload. This is for IP packet. The IP packet size is this. It's not the payload. It is IP. That is header, IP header plus the IP payload. Okay, so together it is this. So let's look at the fields one by one. So the first one is source port and destination port. So you already know what is a port. So these are the endpoints. It denotes the endpoints of the communication. So every segment will have the source port number and the destination port number. Okay, and to identify the connection, I have mentioned that it is the IP source port, destination IP destination port. So this is socket 1, this is socket 2. Okay, along with that the protocol number, that is, say if it is TCP, it is TCP. Okay, if it is UDP, it will be UDP. So both of this will be, this 5 values will identify a connection. So you have the source port number and the destination port number. Next you have sequence number and acknowledgement number. Now you know why sequence numbers are used and why acknowledgement numbers are how they are used. Now remember, here in TCP, each segment, each byte of the segment is given a sequence number. So each byte is sequenced. So it uses a byte sequence number. So the sequence number will identify the segment, and the acknowledgement number will give which is the next byte expected. Okay, so next byte expected. So suppose I have a segment with 4 bytes. Okay, now every byte has a sequence number. So if I say I'm sending, say the sequence number of this segment is 1. Okay, so 4 bytes. So the next, so this is sending segment 1. So what is the next one which is expected? I'm expecting, the receiver is expecting the sequence number 5, that is byte with sequence number 5. Okay, so that is what will come out here. It's not that every segment is sequenced, every byte is sequenced. Every byte in the segment is sequenced, is given a sequence number. And remember, acknowledgements here is a cumulative acknowledgement. So it acknowledges, when I say it is acknowledgement for 5, it means byte 1, 2, 3, 4 has been received, and the next byte expected is 5. So that is the sequence number, acknowledgement number. Then you have the TCP header length. Now this header length, TCP header length, why we need this? Because we know it is 20 bytes is fixed. Plus, if there are any words in the 32-bit, in the 32-bit words that are in the optional part. So in the optional header part, not the data, optional header. Okay, so how many things are here? That is what is given in the TCP header length. So this is 20 is fixed. You don't need to add it to this. So if there are say 4 32-bit words, okay, then the header length, TCP header length would be 4. Okay, so what would be the size? 4 into 4 32-bit words are there. So you can see how many bytes it will come out to. Okay, so this is the TCP header length. Then we have the unused bits. Remember we had this, yeah, here, these were the unused bits. Okay, so they are left unused so that in case when TCP was designed long time back, these were kept free so that in case there is some improvements on the protocol, then these fields might be used. There is some space in the header to include any new developments that are made in the protocol. Okay, so TCP is a very robust protocol and changes have been made, but then for the last 30 years, this field has not been used. This requirements has not come. I mean, they have not been used. So this 4 bits still lay unused. Then you have this flags. Okay, you have 8 1-bit flags. 8 flags are there, and each of these flags has a different purpose. So let's see what these are. So CWR and ECE, 2 flags. CWR and ECE, these are used for congestion control signaling. Okay, again, please recall from my congestion control lecture that whenever the receiver finds that packets are dropping, okay, it is receiving packets out of order. That means it is receiving packets, some packets it has not received. So in that case, it will understand that there might be a congestion. So it will request the sender to slow down sending of data. Okay, so this ECN, explicit congestion notification, this bit will be set by the receiver. What the receiver will do, receiver will send a segment to the sender and it will set this ECN bit to 1. Okay, so whenever the receiver gets an indication from the network that there is congestion, it will send a segment to the sender setting this flag equal to 1. Okay, and this is known as an ECN echo. So it will keep on sending it or segments with this bit flag, with this flag set to 1. Now when the sender will look at receive this segment and it will check that, oh, this ECN bit is 1. Okay, so then that means there is congestion. So I have to slow down the sending rate. So the sender will slow down the sending rate. But then the sender has to inform the receiver that I have slowed down. Now don't set this bit anymore. So for that, what it does in the segment that it sends, so here the segment that comes from the receiver, ECN will be 1. Okay, and the segment that is sent from the sender to the receiver informing it that, okay, I am slowing down, don't send ECN equal to 1 anymore. So it will, what it will do, it will set CWR to 1. This flag, it will set it to 1. And this flag is called the congestion window reduced flag. Okay, so it will send it 1. So once this is done, the receiver knows that, okay, the sender has received the message, received the signal. Now it does not, I don't need to inform it anymore that there is congestion. So it will, after that, the next bits, next segments that it will send, the ECN will be 0. Okay, remember, it does not mean that congestion is not there anymore. It simply means that the signal that it had sent to the sender has been received. So these are CWR and ECE. Next you have URG, urgent pointer. So urgent, this is not the urgent pointer. Now the urgent pointer points to some data in the, again, let me go back to our, So here urgent pointer here points to some data in the data segment. Okay. Now, what it means is that, again, recall I had explained this earlier, that sometimes the buffering may be there or buffering may not be there. So if there is if the application wants to send some data urgently to the receiver, then it will inform the transport layer that this data is urgent, send it fast. So what a transport layer will do? It will take this data, put it in a segment, put it in the header, and then send it immediately without buffering. But how will the receiver know that whatever data it has received, it is urgent data? So to tell the receiver that the data that I'm sending now is urgent data, you read it immediately. Don't store it in your buffer. Okay, don't be lazy. So what it will do, it will set this URG pointer to 1, URG flag to 1. Okay, and this URG, this urgent pointer now will, what it does, where is this urgent data? Now, this data part may contain many data from many applications, okay, or the data that is, some of these may not be urgent, okay. So which is the urgent part? So there will be a pointer pointing to that, pointing to the beginning of the urgent data. So what the receiver will do, receiver looks at this urgent pointer, finds that it is set to 1. So it goes to the urgent pointer, wherever it will just follow the urgent pointer, get this data, and immediately read it and process it. Okay, so that is the use of the urgent pointer and the urgent flag. Okay, so urgent flag. Then we have ACK. ACK stands for acknowledgement. So this is simple. If this is set to 1, that means that the acknowledgement number is valid. And if ACK is 0, that means the segment does not contain an acknowledgement. Okay, and so if there is any value in the acknowledgement number field, then ignore it. Okay, because there may be situations where you may send a packet or segment where acknowledgement is not there. Remember, the first segment that is sent by the sender to the receiver, there is no acknowledgement here. There is no acknowledgement here. This is just the sequence number. Okay, so in that case, acknowledgement will be set to 0. Acknowledgement is set to 0. Okay, so the receiver will not look at that field anymore. Then you have PSH, push. Push field is set to 1. So this is the similar thing. That means it sets to 1 indicates that the data is to be pushed. That means the data is to be delivered to the application immediately on arrival and not buffered. Okay, similar to your urgent. Then reset. So reset is, if that reset flag, if somebody is checking the reset flag and finds that it is 1, then there is a serious problem, because that means if there is a problem, serious or not, I don't know, but there is a problem with the connection. So it is used to abruptly reset a connection that has become confused due to a host crash or some other reason. So basically, when reset is 1, means there is some problem in the connection. So do some housekeeping work. So check whether this is what is the problem. Okay. So this is an indication of that, and it can be set by the sender or a receiver, both. Then you have sync, SYN. Now this bit is used mainly for connection establishment. So when you establish a connection, you send a connection request, okay, and then the sender sends a connection accept, okay. So how do you know that this is connection request and connection establishment? If it is a connection request, if the sync bit is 1 and acknowledgement is 0. So for the connection request, there is no data, of course. The sync bit will be set to 1. Sync will be 1, and there is definitely no acknowledgement, so acknowledge is 0. And in case of connection establishment, in case of connection accepted, this here, sync is 1 and acknowledgement is also 1. That means look at the acknowledgement. This means look at the acknowledgement field. Sync equal to 1 means this is a connection segment. This is a segment, either connection request or connection accepted message. How do you know which one? By looking at the acknowledgement field. If SYN is equal to 1 and ACK is equal to 0, connection request. If SYN is equal to 1 and acknowledgement is also equal to 1, then it's a connection accepted. Similarly, FIN, this flag is set when we want to release the connection. So for connection release message, so connection, lots of communication takes place, then sends a connection release. So for this, the FIN flag will be made 1. Okay, so it specifies that the sender has no more data to transmit. Okay, down there we still have some more fields of the TCP header left. That is, next is your window size. So as I mentioned earlier, the window size is dynamic. TCP follows a dynamic window size. So how many bytes can be sent? Okay, so the window size will tell how many bytes can be sent, starting at the byte which is acknowledged. So if there is an acknowledgement which is received with acknowledgement number 5 and window size 3, okay, in that case, it means that 3 bytes can be sent starting from 5. So 5, 6, and 7 can be sent. Okay. Then we have checksum. Okay, checksum performs a checksum of the header and the data and a conceptual pseudo header. So this is just for added reliability. Okay, so that whatever is sent is received. You will see read about checksums very much when in your data link layer. And finally, we have the optional fields. So in the optional fields, you have this is basically a way of adding extra facilities which are not there in the regular header. So like I said, the add-ons to the TCP. So add-on facilities, if you are using some add-on facilities, there is no place in the header to send information about these. In that case, you can use these optional parts. So some of the common optional things that are used as options is we have something called the maximum segment size, MSS. So during connection setup, each site can say that this is my maximum, this is the maximum, let's say this is the maximum size, segment size that I can accept. So the sender can have a different maximum accept size, segment size, and the receiver can have a different maximum segment size, which may be different. If this option is not used, then a default segment size is used. A default max segment size is used. Okay, default size is 536 bytes. This is of course excluding the header. This is only the payload. So if at the time of connection establishment, this negotiation is done between the sender and the receiver, then this can be one of the options. Another common option is adding a timestamp. Okay, so this timestamp is which is sent by the sender, and it is also the receiver also sends the timestamp. And in every segment it is used. And normally the use of this timestamp is to compute the round trip time. So you have the sender will put the timestamp, the receiver will accept the packet, send an acknowledgement also with a timestamp. So now the sender can calculate, okay, this is the time I sent, this is the time I received the acknowledgement. So the round trip time is this much. So this can be used for that. Also, another use for this is to give an extension to your 32-bit sequence number. Okay, so you have a 32-bit sequence number, but still, if you have something like you have a wrapping of the sequence number, okay, in that case, wraparound of the sequence number, that means 32 after 32, 32 will be your 2 to the power 32, So from the sequence numbers will be 0 to this. So now if we want to extend a little bit beyond this also, so that there is no wrapping around, it does not become, after this it does not become 0 again. Okay, so something called, there is a scheme called the protection against wrapped sequence number, EAWS, protection against wrapped sequence numbers. Okay, so here what happens is that with the timestamps that are sent in the optional part, the older the segments with older timestamps are discarded. Okay, so this could be another optional. Then we have the case of selective acknowledgement. Okay, so selective acknowledgement option, if the TCP is using this option, in that case it lets the receiver inform the sender that this is the range of sequence numbers that I have received. Okay, so the receiver will tell the sender that I have received this range of sequence numbers. Okay, so in that case, I don't need to, or the sender does not need to send all the retransmit all the segments that are not been acknowledged. Okay, only it will make the sender aware of what data has been received and what has to be retransmitted. So selective acknowledgement is one of the things here. So these are the different fields in our TCP segment header. So it's very important to know what is the size of the TCP header, what are the fields, what is the order in which the fields appear. All right. So that is all about TCP segment header. In the next video, we will discuss more about the TCP protocol.